Es ist Montagabend und es ist wieder Pirates Cove Zeit und ihr seht uns beide hier. Sean, say hello to our audience.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
I maybe have to turn up the volume a little bit. Your camera is looking nice, but it's like stopping all the time.
Yeah, I see that. I'm very confused. Well, good thing I have two. So, but that's a worse angle. So maybe we stick with this one.
But it's not. Use the other one, Sean. It's not. It's too abgehackt. In German, you would say abgehackt. That looks good. And you have to talk a little bit louder with your beautiful voice, so our audience can hear you.
Okay.
Ja, ihr Lieben, es ist Montag und es ist Corona-Zeit und deswegen sind wir räumlich getrennt. Und deswegen gab es auch letzte Woche keine Show, weil ich hatte leider das Coronavirus und war out of order für die letzten 2 Wochen. Und ja, jetzt bin ich wieder zurück. Und der Sean sitzt bei sich zu Hause in der Küche. Sean, how was your day? How are you doing tonight? In your beautiful new kitchen.
Yes, and Pirates Cove studio, obviously. I'm doing well, actually. I too had the corona bug, and was home all week, or last week, I guess I should say. But I'm feeling a lot better now. Unfortunately, I've kind of passed it along. But I will say before we start, or before we get too far into it, Paul, I'm sure everybody is glad that you are back in action, because the show that I tried to do without you, for anybody who was there, was an absolute
Which show
failure.
do you mean? Which show do you mean? I didn't heard
Yeah,
anything or saw anything about it.
The show that does not exist. That show shall never exist ever. So again, we are in new territory, doing it separate and everything, but at least we have somebody who can steady the ship instead of put together the worst Twitch show probably of Twitch's history. Poor Hound. I feel so bad for just wasting his time.
We probably invite him again, so you guys gonna get a full interview with him in the future, of course. And let's don't look back to the future, to the past. Let's look into the future. And I will say it in German. Vielen Dank, dass jetzt schon so viele eingeschaltet haben und auch vielen Dank für die ganzen Genesungsglückwünsche an Sean und mich. Sean and many guys are saying get healthy and good that
very nice.
that we are back. So what you can probably also do is open the Twitch stream so you can see the chat too if there are questions coming in, maybe on your phone or something.
Yeah, it's just a bit on delay, so it's weird.
Yeah.
How long of a delay is there? Like 10 seconds or something?
3 to 5, I think, something like this.
Here, we're gonna figure it out now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9. Pretty long. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's long?
15. No, yeah, it is. It is. I still haven't shaken my hands on the Twitch stream yet.
That's weird. Okay, but for you guys, we will figure out the
18 seconds,
technical part for the future. So we're gonna improve also the setup, because there are probably more shows where both of us are not in the same room. So don't be surprised if you see Sean not next to me. But we will have guests in the future, and they will be then next to me. I'm super happy that so many guys already tuned in, and hello to the guys from the football. Hendrik, hi, nice to see you. Alotta is here. Paul, can you calm your voice a little bit, please? I had to pump up the volume to 100% to hear Sean.
Yes, so I will try to talk louder, but in the future, I'll have my microphone that we've used in the past, so that'll be fine in the future. Just in the meantime, I will try to speak louder.
Is it better now? I turned Sean a little bit up and myself a little bit down, so it should be better. Ja, perfekt. Okay, ihr Lieben, wir haben viel zu erzählen und wie immer fangen wir heute an mit News Around the Club. Was gibt's Neues? Und zwar, wir haben es die letzten Wochen schon immer mal gesagt und viele von euch haben es auch schon getan, und zwar der Ticketvorverkauf für unsere AFL hat ja schon vor einigen Wochen mit unserem Super Special Abo gestartet, und wie gesagt, ihr könnt für 30 € euch die ganze AFL-Saison reinziehen. Müsst ihr unbedingt machen. Und auch in der Zukunft werdet ihr vor allen Dingen in Innsbruck hoffentlich das eine oder andere Plakat sehen. Unsere Season-Plakate sind da mit unserer Nummer 13 Romme Zangerle drauf und allen Spieltermin. Wer so ein geiles Plakat haben möchte, kann sich das gerne bei uns im Office abholen als Geschenk. Und ja, geht auf tickets.raiders.at und kauft euch das Abo. Es ist wirklich, wir wollen die AFL-Saison, wir wollen das Footballzentrum ausverkaufen jedes Mal, und da wäre es natürlich toll. Es sind schon viele Abos weg, also wer die besten Plätze haben will, sollte sich unbedingt ein Abo kaufen. Und da geht jetzt auch schon mal ein ganz besonderer Gruß und ein Dankeschön an unsere Freunde von Vikings Fire, weil sogar sie haben sich ein Abo gekauft, und das als Wiener, die vielleicht nicht jedes Mal beim Spiel sein können. Also, liebe Vikings Fire Community, danke euch nochmal an dieser Stelle. Ja, was ist noch passiert? Basketball wurde ziemlich viel gespielt und wir sind leider in ein kleines Performance-Loch gefallen. Wir haben viele Ausfälle, uns hat Corona hart erwischt. Also das ganze Team war zwischenzeitlich positiv, und wir kämpfen uns gerade zurück, haben noch ein paar Verletzungen und ein paar Sperren. Und jetzt kommen die Nachholspiele und bis Ende März sollten dann die Regular Season vorbei sein. Und dann starten die Playoffs und da sind wir dann hoffentlich wieder bei 100%. Wer sich mal ein Basketballspiel anschauen will hier in Innsbruck, am 20. März jetzt spielen wir direkt, dann am 26. und am 27. März, Doubleheader-Wochenende. Also unbedingt mal in die Halle kommen, geile Stimmung, geiler Sport. Was ist noch passiert? Es gab eine AFBÖ-Nachwuchssitzung für diese Saison. Da werden wir dann mit Sean vielleicht noch kurz über den Nachwuchs heute plaudern. Und es gab eine AFBÖ-Generalversammlung, und auch im Tiroler Footballverband hat sich einiges geändert. Der ehemalige Präsident Gerwin Wichmann ist zurückgetreten, hat nach vielen, vielen Jahren sein Amt niedergelegt und hat es jetzt an die Barbara Katzenhofer übergeben. Da auch nochmal ein herzliches Dankeschön an Gerwin für alles, was er für den Tiroler Sport gemacht hat. Und Gerwin ist auch aus dem österreichischen Verband ausgetreten, und da gibt es auch jetzt einen Nachfolger aus Wien und aus Graz, die neu in den Vorstand gekommen sind. Also viel Veränderung in den Verbänden, und danke an die alten Vorstände für ihre Arbeit für den österreichischen Football. So, jetzt kommen hier schon, wann gibt es die ELF-Tickets? Die ELF-Tickets sollten wirklich, da sind noch kleine Feintunings zu machen, in den nächsten Tagen online gehen. Wir warten selber drauf. Es ist ein neuer Ticketpartner, mit dem wir da arbeiten, Ticketmaster, und da werdet ihr dann die Tickets kriegen. Folgt uns einfach auf unseren Social-Media-Kanälen und dann kommt ihr sicherlich rechtzeitig zu euren Tickets. So, jetzt. Habt ihr mit Tony Koskin gesprochen, wie das CFL Global Combine für ihn lief? Ich habe noch nichts gehört. Sean, did you hear anything from Tony from the CFL?
Not yet. And I think even depending on how he performed, the global draft hasn't happened yet, so we would know more at that time anyways.
Ja. Und da gibt es ja schon die wildesten Gerüchte, dass es noch den einen oder anderen ELF-Spieler auch von den anderen Teams erwischen kann, also über den Global Draft, dass sie in die CFL kommen, und das bringt nochmal ganz ein neues Spirit in das Recruiting rein. Also da wird sicherlich die eine oder andere Position nochmal nachbesetzt werden. Wird spannend. Dann Frage von Elias auch. Elias, unser Wikipedia-Man, who wrote the article for you, Sean. he asked if the AFL games will be streamed live. Yes, there will be also news from the federation about it in the future, and also some games going to be on national TV. So there will be live streams of the AFL games. Gut, was gab's noch? Letzten Sonntag, also gestern, gab es die Tiroler Cheerleader-Meisterschaft, wo unsere ganze Abteilung, glaube ich, überall gewonnen hat, wenn ich richtig liege, oder zumindest sehr gut performt hat. Nur in einer Kategorie sind wir, glaube ich, Zweiter geworden. Damit haben sich eigentlich alle unsere Teams für die österreichische Meisterschaft qualifiziert. Und herzlichen Glückwunsch da auch an unsere jungen Damen, die gestern da eine tolle Show abgeliefert haben, und die freuen sich natürlich jetzt schon riesig auf die österreichische Meisterschaft. So, jetzt habe ich ganz viel geredet. Sean, how were you changed camera the whole time?
I have two cameras over here, Paul. I don't know what you're doing over there, but this is a professional setup.
I could install 3, 4, 5 if I want. But
you should.
a lot happened in your life the last weeks, right? You actually moved in your new flat.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah, it's been a crazy. Well, it seems like 18 months because that's how old Valentina is, but it's been a crazy 6-7 months or so. Because about 7-8 months ago, we moved away from Innsbruck to St. Jean in Tirol and then to a Ferienwohnung while we were renovating the top floor of Lisa's parents' house. And we had recently finished that about 10 days ago and moved in, and it's been so much work, it's been so much money, but it's been so worth it. It's really, really a beautiful home. I don't want to sound arrogant or anything like that, but we really did a great job with it. It's perfect for us, and it makes every day just a little bit better.
Perfect. So the whole rebuilding and moving part is over now, and you
thank goodness
you got Corona now, so you can really enjoy your flat because you're at home the whole time.
Well, yeah, so to say. Yeah, we still have some boxes here and there that need to be worked on, but Lisa's been doing a crazy job trying to, getting all that stuff done. But yeah, that's one way to look at it. It's I literally can't leave my house, so at least it's nice.
Perfect. Sean, let's talk about football.
Yes.
Let's talk about our latest signings. Let's start with our offensive signing from the last 2 weeks. We added another wide receiver. Who is it? And
yes,
you know him better than I do,
did.
So tell us something about him.
Yeah, we kind of we added kind of I don't want to say the missing link, but a whole another dynamic to our outside receiving core, and our pass catchers group between the slot receivers and the outside receivers is looking very, very impressive. I mean, really, really a great group of guys, and the dynamic that Yannick Meyer brings, who we're very familiar with, having played against multiple times since I think 2018, and even last year, or 2018-19 with the Vikings, and last year with the Unicorns. This dude can run, man. This guy can fly, and the nice thing is he can fly in his routes. Yannick is a very smooth runner and can really run routes at full speed, which is not always the case with some receivers. But with the ball in his hands, he's also very dangerous. And I'm trying not to seem overexcited, but between the additions of him and Hound and a couple more to come, it's turning into be a really, really special receiver core.
You seem to be really happy, so you're excited. I mean, with this group of guys, and like you said, a couple more coming in, couple more names. We already know some, but the audience not. So the smile on your face is saying a lot, and two defenses out there I think with this receiving core, with this backfield, and with you as a quarterback, if the O-line is clicking, then I think we're gonna be really dangerous, and it's very promising what's coming up there.
No, the roster that's being built on the offensive side of the ball is exactly what you said, and the thing that I find really, really cool, particularly the pass catchers, and it was something that, and this is a little nugget of information for you guys, I guess. What Kyle really wanted came true, so to say, and really what we were going after is trying to build an all Austrian set of pass catchers, and pass catchers means inside receivers, outside receivers, and potentially a tight end or some type of big-bodied slot or so. And to pair with our Austrian running backs, obviously. And we wanted to accumulate as much Austrian offensive skill players as we could, top-level skill players as we could, because I think everybody thinks Austria produces them at a really, really high level. And outside of one here and there, we were really able to complete that. And so that's something that was a goal of ours, and it's really, really cool. And I think what's going to happen is because receivers have to have great chemistry with each other as well, not only with the quarterback. And so I think it's gonna naturally happen very quickly that these guys are all on the same page. I'm on the same page with them, and hopefully hit the ground running in that first game against the Vikings in Tivoli, where it's like, okay, we don't have to start from scratch like some other teams. That it's not an unfamiliar quarterback. It's not an unfamiliar group of pass catchers from Germany and Poland and Italy or whoever. No, they're here. We've been here. We've known each other very, very well, and hopefully that comes through on the field, because it's something we're really excited about.
And like you said, he was probably the missing link to this group, because inside we had the strength for years, but on the outside he helps us a lot. And with his speed, there are people in Austria saying that he is the fastest football player in Austria. So I can't prove that. I don't know his numbers yet, but I can remember in Tivoli when he catched a touchdown against us on the far side. He made DBs look lost.
I don't know exactly what his speed is either from a timing standpoint, but I can say he's one of the few guys that I've seen in Europe, not Europeans in Europe, that are in the same realm as Sandy in terms of just pure speed. I mean, this guy has one of those where it's like he starts to run and everybody else starts changing their angles to try to catch him. And obviously you want somebody like that in your pass catching core. And I'm pretty
cool.
I'm pretty happy about the whole scenario. Yeah.
Cool. So 3 receivers got announced yet. It's Adrian Platzkummer, Philipp Haun, and Yannick Meyer, and many more are coming. Many more familiar names. So we are excited. And a little bit more about Yannick. Yannick is original from Salzburg. He played for the Salzburg Ducks. Then he moved to Vienna, played there a couple seasons, and then he took the chance in 2021, went to Schwäbisch Hall, beat us in Tivoli Stadium. He won the CFL Bowl against us, and now he's a Raider. So good for us.
Yes.
So Elias know his time. It's a 4.4 in the 40-yard dash. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad, and probably true.
It's actually
Elias. Wo hast du das her?
Is that? Yeah, exactly. Is that from a combine? Is that from a laser time?
Yeah, it's there's a difference for the people out there if you measure with a laser or by hand, or some also measuring by video, so they film
touchpad or whatever. Yeah.
So there are multiple methods of timing, but the most common is probably the laser one.
At the higher levels, yeah.
Okay. I don't know that. I don't know the turf either.
Yeah, that also makes a difference. But
and if they run in cleats or in
I
spikes,
imagine
and
exactly. But I also heard 4-4, and I don't know if that was from one of the CFL combines he did last year, because he was also one of the global combine participants.
Maybe.
Boy can run.
Yeah, he's a fast guy. Okay,
he fast.
Let's change the side of the ball and we go to the defense. I call him always a defensive back, but he's not. He calls himself a linebacker. It's Patrick Pilger, and a long time Raider, and maybe his name is not that known, but he is a Raider for since he was a baby probably, and went through all the teams, all the youth, played national team, and is he's a Raider for life. So Sean, what do you think about that Patrick choose to play? He's a senior, or a veteran actually. He's one of the older guys. So what are your thoughts about having him on the team next year?
Yeah, I think from a group of guys that we could have announced, he might not be the sexiest, both physically and in name stature. But I think the guys like Patrick, who have been around for a long time, and like you talked about, is just a Raider through and through. Like all he knows is Raider, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, what that actually means. But when we do talk about what is it mean to be a Raider, what's the definition of a Raider, what do these guys do, portray themselves, act, etc. We're talking about guys like Patrick Pilger, and I think in this new venture that we're doing, I think it would be the ELF. I think it would be easy, and obviously we're having a bigger influx of players, and we have new guys and new faces and from the last few years that aren't ingrained into the Raiders like some other guys. I think it would be easy to kind of lose sight of the culture of what we got there, or how we got here, how we got this successful. And so you want as many of those guys still in the team to embody that as much as possible. And that's why having Patrick on the team is hugely beneficial. And on top of that, which is a nice little perk, he's actually a really, really good football player as well. Kind of flies underneath the radar, but he plays that outside backer, nickel backer, can also play safety a little bit. He's just done everything. When I first got here, he was playing corner. He can really do everything because he's so intelligent and understands football at such a high level. For not only what he does on the field, but also what he's going to do in the locker room and meeting rooms and practice field. It's hugely beneficial to keep guys like him in the program as long as possible.
And the Pilger family, also his older brother played, and his younger brother is still playing, and he might be a key receiver for the AFL team, or maybe he makes the cut to the ELF. So Simon Pilger, a young guy, talented guy, played quarterback in the youth, changed then in the under 18 to receiver.
He played center, he played linebacker, he played D-end, he played you name it.
Yeah. So the Pilger family is really attached to the Raiders. Even the Pilger parents are known as hardcore Raiders fans, and they are also doing Pilger films, which are known also as a company who does Raiders TV with us. So the Pilgers are a Raiders family, let's say it this way.
Yes, I think that's a safe statement.
Okay, these were the signings for the moment. In the next days, weeks, new signings are coming. We are still somehow far away from the season, so we have still time to announce everybody. Technically, the season starts with 1st of May, especially the practice season, so this will also be the time when the team comes the first time fully together with all international add-ons. And now it's still time to work on the athletics and on some basics, and then in the beginning of May, it's football time. Sean, if you would have a wish, which player would you love to have on the team? Not maybe the name, but let's make a position or a skill. What do you think would be a perfect add-on and maybe the wish come true to our team?
Well, that's a good question. I think one thing that, from an offensive standpoint, obviously, the one
Somebody
thing Kyle
says
and I
Paul Lasch. Somebody said Paul Lasch in the chat.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, that was my first thought is
Of
Paul
course.
followed by Fuchs to Joseph, and guys like this. As many offensive linemen as humanly possible, I think, like, in a hypothetical sense, we've always wanted or messed around with the thought of having like a true tight end that's athletic enough to play receiver. But those guys, if those guys exist, they all are in the league because that's a very, very unique skill set. But I think a guy like, Travis Kelce or somebody like that adds such a dynamic to the offense that would be really fun for game planning. So that's my serious answer. My not serious answer would be, Paul, I would love to see you play fullback. I would love to see Joseph Fuchs play wide receiver and just throw him the ball as high as I can and see how many he can catch.
For the people who don't know Joseph Fuchs, maybe describe him a little bit, who he is and who he was.
He's a 2 meter tall check tackle.
210 actually, not only 2 meters.
2 meter plus. He's a massive individual. He's a modern day descendant of Eastern European giants, and strong as hell too. And but I think it would be funny if you had Joseph run 11 yards and stop, and you throw the ball as high as you can, and he has 4 opportunities to catch one, and then it's a first down.
Yeah.
And so you just gotta have him reach his arms up straight. I think that would be a pretty challenging defense to stop, or offense to stop. I would like Tim Tebow to play tight end. That would be funny. Maybe I should message him. He could be the guy.
Is he? I think he's still trying to get a contract, right? He's still.
I'm not so sure. He's making millions doing ESPN. I'm not so sure.
And he was also trying to
or
get into the MLB, right?
Yeah, I think he stopped doing that too. Okay. I mean, he's like 34 now. I mean,
okay.
He's not young.
No, but that's good. You want, as a serious thing, you want a hybrid tight end, and as a non-serious, you want to have a 2'10" check offensive tackle who runs 11-yard routes. It catches the ball because he can jump too. So you throw them.
Can he?
At least maybe 20 centimeters. So if he stretches his arms, they are maybe 150. So you can throw the ball on 4 meters and he will catch it. Maybe.
Tell me how you stop it.
Yeah. Maybe there are some DBs who can jump 4 meters high.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. Yeah, check. Let's get Tim Tebow. Let's get some Tebow time as tight end. Let's get Tim Tebow as tight end. Yeah. Let's try it, Sean. Write him.
Might as well.
Maybe he's interested. But maybe.
Yeah, I'll give him a call. I mean, we're on a first name basis. Just be like, hey Tim, what are you planning on doing this summer? Yeah.
Maybe we can't pay him, but let's try it.
He doesn't need the money.
No, that's right. Okay. So far, we are good with the ELF signings and your dreams about future positions. The title of tonight's show is Back into Full Strength. First, the meaning was like we are back in full strength, at least we are here and can deliver a show. But let's talk also about the strength of the Raiders, because we got asked in the past about it. We talked about it a little bit from time to time, but people ask us, okay, what is a Raider? What is the Raiders philosophy? What makes us so strong? And what are our core values? And why, especially we as Raiders, define us as special? From the outside, it's maybe different, but when you know football and when you know European football, you know that the Raiders were never the biggest, never the fastest, never the craziest teams numbers-wise, but we were always successful, at least in the last 10 to 15 years. So we're gonna talk about that now, and maybe we start with some numbers. We maybe gonna start with some numbers we want to show you, because there is and let's see how I can manage this now. You guys probably don't see Sean in a bit anymore, but you will see this. And this is our all-time record list, or all-time games we played. And it starts in 1993 when we played first the Klagenfurt Jets. And at the beginning you see a lot of L's at the end. But with 2009-10, there are more W's coming in. And if we take the last decade, so because this is the time Sean and I most likely Sean has big influence on the success.
Hey, don't do that. You.
So from 2011, the last 10 seasons till last year, we played in total 138 games and we won 114 games. We had a total of 5,085 points, and when we go closer in, and now Sean's influence gets really seeable. So Sean's first season was 2015, right? Sean?
Yeah, that was Vincent's first season. I just also joined.
So we had 86 games and we won 75. And this is really impressive. So Sean, I know you don't want to just have it like it was only your influence, but of course you were the quarterback in that time, and you played with a lot of guys in the Raiders, and you kind of learned the Raiders philosophy. How would you describe these last 7 years and 7 seasons? And yeah, just start like this maybe now.
I mean, for me, it's interesting because, for the vast majority of my American football career, I've been unsuccessful, and I've been on unsuccessful teams. And, it actually wasn't until I got to Europe that I actually started tasting some success, and had success in France, had a lot of success in Finland. And I came here, and, this was unlike anything that I had ever been around. And, in 2015 we were successful, but it wasn't because I was playing great football. We just had a team that was more determined and worked harder and was more serious about the details, and just had this aura about them, just the way they went about their business. It was like they were all professionals. And I think of guys like Hoyata, and obviously Habitin was still there, but and Pilger Patrick was still there, but also younger. But some guys who had stopped playing, like Gigi or Hosa or Krause or Willi or Bauer Dominic or Shaw Sebastian. And it's just like yeah, these guys don't screw around. You know, this is taken very, very seriously, which is not always the case of places I've been in Europe. And I had to, like you said, I had to learn to be a Raider. I had to learn to the culture and how to fit in and what the expectation of an import is at the Raiders, which is no easy task because, you know, at the time, the amateurs were taking it so seriously and set such a high bar, the import better be head and shoulders above that.
I heard,
and it was like I knew pretty early.
I heard there were people
Go ahead.
Approached you when you arrived here and saying, "Hey, you better play good football because I pay you with my membership fee." So, like you said, the
Christian Billy told me that.
Yeah, and
Christian Billy told me that, and it wasn't so like aggressive, but it was just like, "Hey, this is my perspective.
Yeah,
you're here to make my time more enjoyable because I pay you to do so."
Yeah.
And you know, it's maybe not 100% true, but the essence is true. Especially at the time in the AFL, you know, now it's going to be a little bit different to the ELF, which we'll get into. But it was like, yeah, okay, this is a different beast, and that's what I wanted, you know. But I struggled much of 2015 for one reason or another. But we always found ways to win a game, and you know, they always were there. The players never got down on me. They were always supportive and everything, and really trying to pick me up. And it was just like, okay, well, this is, you know, I don't have to do it myself. I don't have to be Superman all the time. I just got to go out there and do my job, just like everybody else is doing. It's just I'm being paid for it, and some other guys aren't. But that was like the first time that it was like, okay, this is what winners look like. You know, this is how it's done at a high level.
One thing let me jump in quickly. One thing you said that for the players it was like a business, and our former coach Shuan Fatah, who came here in 2011, he for him it was a business. I mean, he was a coach, he made a living out of it, but he also told us every time, hey, when we go to away games or even at home games, it's a business thing. You don't go there to fuck around. And for me as a player, it was so interesting. So often teams came to Tivoli, or even when we went somewhere, and I don't want to blame them for that, but you came there and for them it was like a party. Hey, it's Saturday game day, let's meet, let's play some football. And we came there, we didn't talk, we didn't chatted with the guys. We just came there. We did what we learned, what we practiced the whole week, and most of the time we went away with a W. And I didn't understood. Hey, how can you don't take that serious as we do? Because for us, winning was all. You know, we wanted to win so bad, and so it was our plan the whole time. And I think this separated us a little bit from other teams, because I can remember an Austrian Bowl, I don't know which one it was. I think, was it 2015 in Klagenfurt maybe? Did we won the Austrian Bowl in 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that was the goose egg. That was the shutout.
Exactly. And this was a crazy game because we lost against the Vikings the last 4 years, every game, I think. And it was the first year we have been close to winning the Austrian Bowl again after 2011. And we went there and we just did our thing. And I can remember because there are friends between Raiders and Vikings. They know each other from national teams and even outside. And the Vikings approached our guys, and our guys were just walking by, not to be disrespectful, but they were so laser focused on that game and on the business. And at the end, it was a great game of all of us, and we won it with 0. And
right.
So
well, and that's what I was going to say is in 2015 when I got here, there was kind of like a sense of urgency, because to your point, there was, Sean instilled this this business-like acumen for the players, and all these guys really acted like professionals in every sense of the word. And obviously there was instant success in 2011, but 12, 13, and 14, there was no championship, so to say, all those successful years, but by whom's definition, you know? And so in 15, it was really like we have to win this scenario. So it was probably even more of a heightened sense of urgency and hunger, if you will. And yeah, that 2015 Austrian Bowl, my parents have been lucky enough to make every single Austrian Bowl, and that was my dad's first, or my parents' first, obviously. And, he to this day still talks about that performance defensively. It's like he's never seen it's like a bunch of possessed people. But, when you want it so bad because you've put so much time into it, I think that's a dynamic that really separates our guys from other guys. I mean, we have 3 practices a week and a meeting. We ask so much of our players that when you put so much time into something, you obviously care about it more because you just have so much more invested. And I think that's what it was. It's like we put too much time into this to be unsuccessful again.
Yeah. So
and you could really feel it.
Yeah. So maybe to end this first part, it's one core value is probably the work ethic and the professionalism our players show, and even our import players. I mean, I can't remember one import who thought it's just summer holiday here in Innsbruck. They came to play and everybody tried his best, and so what our Austrian players expected from themselves, they also expect from everybody else coming in. So we have this work ethic part, and maybe let's talk about another core value, which is coaching in the Raiders. And you, as a youth coach and now as a youth coordinator, you know where we start, and how would you describe this way of a Raider through the youth and then to the elf when it comes to coaching?
Well, I think the Raiders, and this is something that we're going to try to sustain moving forward, although it will be more difficult, is the Raiders had this, and I think every club to a certain extent, but they had this secular movement of knowledge. So, Schuon and Lee's philosophy, and rightfully so, was bring in the best coaches you could possibly find. They bring in coaches from the U.S. They brought in well-known European coaches. They always tried, and Shu always tried to put together the best coaching staffs he possibly could. And the reason for that is obviously because it's going to be immediately beneficial for your team. But the indirect value of that is now you have a bunch of players at the men's level who are being coached by very, very professional coaches, and giving them the insight and the knowledge and just passing everything that they have. And then they get to acquire this knowledge, and then they get to pass it on to our youth. And so not only do you have these professionals directly coaching the youth when they're here, and we have several year-round coaches that coach the youth. Grindful is vital to the youth program. I was year-round since 2016 coaching the youth. Shuan and Lee were year-round coaching the youth. So not only do you have 4 year-round coaches coaching youth professionally, you also had the indirect knowledge from these other professional coaches that you bring in seasonal, and then those guys pass it on, and then they get old enough and they get all these, then you take a youth player who may be U16 being coached by either directly by a professional or indirectly by a professional. They get to be men's level, they're getting coached by a professional, and then they pass it along and coach. So you had this cycle of knowledge just directly from these professional coaches at the ELF level. And that makes a huge difference. I mean, that makes a huge difference if you're being coached by a professional since you're 13. That's better. These guys at the Raiders have it better than I had it as a kid. I was being coached by my dad. Shout out, Dad. that are pops, but you know, to have an entire youth program basically being fed by some of the best football coaches in Europe. By the time they get to the men's level, they're able to do so much because they played at such a high level at the youth level. And that's why I was talking about Patrick. It's such a sophisticated football intellect because it's been pumped into them since they were kids.
And now we see Kevin trying to, or not trying to, what is the right English word? He is now getting these professional coached guys as coaches, and we have now the chance to implement in our system, in our coaching system, coaches who played under Kevin and got coached by Kevin, and now this whole thing starts working really well, and we from time to time, from year to year, we get players who stop playing back into our coaching staffs, and this helps a lot, and it's a big benefit, I think, what we have, and many more are coming. And maybe one important name which pops in my head right now is, for example, Daniel Saurer and Simon Riedel, both very successful and good football players. Daniel was a receiver and Simon a linebacker, and now they're taking very important roles in the youth system, and Daniel even in our AFL team, so he's going to be the co-offensive coordinator and receiver coach there, and that's a really good benefit, and it's great.
That's so important. Yeah. It's so important. And so when you take these two components,
the attitude and the coaching,
the professionalism, the professional attitude of amateur players, and if you take that, the guys who are really willing to put in the time year round to dedicate their mind and bodies to playing football, and then you feed them professional coaching, I mean, it's a formula that it equals a lot of success. I mean, you saw it in the spreadsheet, you know, and what I've always said, and I genuinely feel this way, imports don't win championships. Imports can win games sometimes, but over the long course of the season, imports don't win championships. You know, the other teams have imports too, and maybe they're better, maybe they're worse, but the difference is not so drastic. The difference is if those imports get implemented into a team, but the main difference is your homegrown players. That's what wins championships. We haven't had all this success over the last 7 years since I've been here, but over the last decades because of any import that we've brought in. It's not because of me. It's not because of, you know, Talib before me, who's a good one. It's not because of Kyle. It's not because of any of these guys who have been, you know, imports throughout the years, and multiple year imports. It's because our Austrians are better than other people's Austrians, and we didn't. 2015, our Austrians kicked the hell out of their Austrians, you know, and in 16, our Austrians beat the hell out of their Austrians. You know, that's the recipe for success. And moving into the ELF, it's going to be it's just as vital.
As vital, and the dirty 30 going to be Austrian. It's not that the roster is gonna full of non-Tyrolean guys. The core crew, like I said, the dirty 30. These guys are going to be
more than 30, Paul. I mean, more than 30. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have a 50, 55 man roster, and we can have 12 imports. No. I mean, it's going to be no different. If we're successful in the ELF, it's because our Austrians are playing better than their local players. You know, maybe there's a standout import like Madre London. What he did was phenomenal last year, but they didn't win. You know, Frankfurt and Hamburg's Germans were probably better than Cologne's Germans. So, you know, it's an easy equation because everybody can somewhat match their talent. That's one thing you have a hard time replacing is local talent. And it's just been an overwhelmingly, you know, beneficial ride for me. But I think it's hard to quantify when you talk to people, and I think people focus on the wrong things. when you see a very successful team for a very long time, look at how they're producing their local talent, and then you'll probably figure out why they're successful.
Yeah. We have a good question in the chat. I will read it. You lost only 11 games in 7 years. Will it be more difficult for you to recover from a couple of lost games in the ELF since you are not used to losing, or do you expect to keep on winning as usual? I mean, last season wasn't a all-winning season, so which is a good point, because I was looking from the outside and I had the same thoughts. Can our team handle difficult game situations and losses? And I think the team learned a lot last year. I think it was a really good year for the guys, and the team last year was also not the same team than 2019. Through the Corona time, a lot of changes. Actually. So also the last year's team had to learn this core value of attitude, of work attitude, of business attitude. And Sean, maybe you can talk a little bit about this, because you were on the team last year.
Well, first and foremost, before we move on too far to the ELF, I do want to say that, just to be fair, that win-loss risk that we've talked about for the last couple minutes, that is inflated also because of resources. We've had more resources in the AFL than most clubs, and that allows us to have these 4 professional coaches year round and do everything that we wanted to do and build this philosophy and culture and everything. So that is no doubt part of that inflated race, inflated winning percentage. But nevertheless, even with bigger, more resources than other clubs, it's still really hard to sustain success like we did. So I wanted to say that before we moved on. And now moving on in the ELF.
No, Sean, let me interrupt you, and then we can end this, because this would be the third, maybe most important points of our success. It's the attitude, it's the coaching, and it's also the support and the environment where we play. So with our practice facility, with our possibility of gyms, and how we got supported by our sponsors
and Elizabeth,
and and our owner Elizabeth from SWARCO. These 3 things make us probably that strong, and exactly without one of these we would be probably less successful. But we are in a really luxury situation also with our practice facility. I mean, this is really something which helps a lot, and
but all of it kind of ties on to each other, right? We would never have that practice facility if we were a mediocre club. It probably wasn't Innsbruck and Tirol and Osher wouldn't have picked Innsbruck to build that facility. It all stacks on top of each other, and with Elizabeth, if the Raiders didn't have their stuff together when Manny Jr. started playing, she would have never, been interested in being a part of the club. And so, successful people and positive people attract successful people and positive people. So then it just kind of, over the course of 16 years since, I guess more now, since Elizabeth has decided to join the club, it's just become a perfect storm, And there was professional coaches before Sean. There was very dedicated players before the 2011 team. But it just became, and I just got here at the right time, and we took it over the top. And now, kind of to your point, Paul, last year was no walk in the park. I think we finished 7-4. It wasn't by the Raiders standards. I lost more games last year than
the years before,
than 2019 and 18 combined.
We only lost 1 in 18 and 19 non-game.
And 17, I think, was just 2 games. So it's like
let me open it again. I think if we take out the 2021 season, that's not right. There's a mistake in the counting.
Yeah. Nevertheless, if you look at it too, so this 11 games in 7 years is not 100% accurate. It's probably 15 games in 7 years. But if you look at that, season last year, we really had to battle, and it was an uncharacteristic year. We didn't blow out anybody. Maybe Milan was the only game that you could say was a blowout, but like every game was a dogfight, and it was different. There wasn't easy games, but then when you get into championship games, sure, we lost against Swabish, but that was a really good football game. You're gonna lose some of those games. It's a close game. We get the ball again, maybe we win. I don't know. In a better situation. But nevertheless, that was a really good football game with small margins of errors. 4 errors, I should say. And then when you get in the AFL playoffs, kind of muscle memory takes over. And the semifinal was a strong showing for us, and obviously the Austrian Bowl. So I think that's where it kind of, not that losing would just completely crumble you because you're not used to it. I think because you've had this experience of winning, you know what you need to do to be successful. And when you get away from that, you start losing, which is what we did. And then we had to get back to what we did. We got to get back to these cultures. So I think, to answer your question, losing it's not necessarily we're not used to losing, so we panic. It'd be like, okay, we lost that game, but we already have the blueprint, right? We already know what to do to win football games. We already know how to do this. Let's just get back to that. Where did we fall off? And so I would just say it's quite the opposite. It's not that we're not going to lose football games in the ALF. We're going to. We're just hopefully going to know how to get back to the win ways faster.
We are already 1 hour live, so let's move on a bit. I hope we don't annoy you. If you have questions, just write it into the chat. There was one question at the beginning when we talked about this business thing. Do you think it's going to change in the ELF this year? Do you think, especially with this business part, that people are probably now are not amateurs anymore? Do you think that has an influence on the attitude of especially of our core group players?
I don't know. I think everybody's just looking forward to this challenge more than anything. It could come out and be really, really tough for us. We've never played at this level of competition, so I think everybody's going in with a really open mind and just trying to make it as successful as possible. But I don't know if many people are looking ahead of that. I think everybody's just taking it week by week and figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, it's a new adventure for us, and things are really exciting. So, Sean, maybe daddy duties are coming in, huh? When you look like this.
The baby just woke up, and so Lisa got her and brought her into the bedroom, and everything's okay.
Perfect. But it's a long day and a long show, so we move on. Guys, if you don't have questions for the moment, we would come to an end slowly. And Sean, I hope you already prepared your song of the day.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Paul. Shoot.
So I give Sean a little time, and I will put my song of the day on our Spotify playlist, which I'm going to share with you guys in a second. And I will choose from a young Austrian artist who is known from TikTok because he makes some kind of drunk TikToks, which is really, really funny. His name is Rian, and he is also a songwriter, and his newest song is Der beste Teil. It's a love song, a pop love song, but it's really, really, I love it. I don't love so much pop music, but this song really got me. And yeah, you will find it on our playlist. Sean, now you had 2 minutes. I tried to talk as long as possible. And
it was not 2 minutes.
And
hey, now my webcam's working.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, perfect for the end of the show. I'm going to do A Change Is Coming by Sam Cooke.
A Change Is Coming by Sam Cooke. There it is. and it's on the Pirates Cove playlist now. And yeah, would be great if you guys just follow this playlist. They are all songs from us, from Sean and myself, and from all our guests, and it's a cool playlist, and it's funny to listen to it. I did it once, and I remember the shows we did sometimes, but there are some strange songs and also some really...
It's an eclectic group of songs, that's for sure.
And from all genres, and it's a cool playlist. Ja, für euch da draußen, liebe Fans, macht uns den Gefallen und folgt uns auf unseren Kanälen, weil dann seid ihr immer auf den Laufenden und das hilft uns natürlich. Und wenn ihr Fragen habt, dann schreibt sie hier in den Chat, hebt sie euch auf. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Wir werden jetzt, nachdem Sean und ich jetzt beide Corona hatten, wieder wöchentlich da sein für euch. Außer es kommt irgendwas dazwischen oder es gibt vielleicht mal irgendwas, was dazwischen kommt. Aber wir werden versuchen, jede Woche um 20 Uhr für euch live zu sein in diesem Setup. Auch mit Gästen dann, entweder vielleicht auch per Teams reingespielt oder hier bei mir auf meiner Seite. Und es ist nicht mehr lange hin, nämlich genau noch 4 Wochen. Dann spielt die AFL ihr erstes Spiel und die Jungs sind kräftig im Camp schon und im Trainieren. Und wie gesagt, geht auf tickets.raiders.at, sichert euch eure Tickets für die AFL und supportet unsere Jungs. Ist ein geiles Team. Isaiah Weed is looking, I like him. He looks good on tape and at practice. And it's gonna be fun to watch him. Sean, do you have some last words to our audience?
I do not. I am looking forward to the future.
Back to full strength. We prepare, and that's it for tonight. Liebe Fans, danke fürs Einschalten. Perfekt. Es war eine schöne Show. Ich glaube, es war mal nett, uns beiden zu lauschen über die Core Values von the Raiders. Und wir sehen uns nächste Woche wieder. Auf in die Zukunft. Es ist eine schöne Zukunft. Wir freuen uns drauf. Habt einen schönen Abend. Bleibt gesund. Schön, dass ihr alle eingeschaltet habt. Aus Wien, aus Innsbruck, aus Köln. Voll geil. Aus Leipzig weiß ich, glaube ich, auch ist jemand da. Also super schön, dass ihr eingeschaltet habt. Es war mal wieder wunderbar. Ich suche die richtige Szene. Ich sag ciao, Kakao. Bis bald. Macht es gut. Sean, wir rufen uns gleich nochmal an. Nicht weiter quatschen, weil jetzt kommt Musik, nochmal im Abspann und bis bald, macht's es gut. Ciao Kakao, für euch jetzt Rian mit der beste Teil.
Vielen Dank.